Hi, welcome to Magic Lantern Films' fourth installment of the weekly video web rant. I'm going to speak a little bit faster because the running time on these rants is getting a little bit long. So, okay, I posted a top 10 list this week, the top 10 worst Best Picture winners of all time, which has been posted on this blog earlier this week. Listverse.com thankfully picked it up. Thank you very much, Listverse. And an extraordinary amount of comments came up right away within 24 hours, about 350 plus. Some positive, some very negative. And it was great to see such a passionate response about movies, films that people love and films that people dislike. So that was certainly great to see, and certainly what I want to create by creating such a list. So this rant is aimed at the readers of my top 10 list of the worst Best Picture winners and focused on their commentary. Okay, first off, I stand behind the list. I stand behind all 10 films completely. Doesn't mean that the films are bad, and I write that in the introduction. The films aren't bad per se. The criteria I used was, one, the merit of the film itself and how good it was, but also, two, I also had to include the competition of that given year, which also I felt was a big part of, did the film deserve to beat out this film or that film. Three films that readers definitely wanted to see on the list. One, The Greatest Show on Earth in 1952, and I can completely understand that. It came this close to making the list, especially with great films like the American classic High Noon, one of my favorite films, Umberto D., Singing in the Rain, Viva Zapata with Marlon Brando, and there are a few others. So I can understand Greatest Show on Earth. It's not that great of a movie. Another one you guys wanted to see was Shakespeare in Love, 1998. Not a very solid year for film. I can understand why Shakespeare in Love won that year. It was kind of due for a comedy to win that year. I know everybody loves Saving Private Ryan. I have my own problems with that film, so I can understand why Shakespeare in Love beat it out. Other films that year that could have certainly won: The Celebration. Rushmore was up, not for Best Picture. I think it's an overrated film, but a good film. A Simple Plan, Thin Red Line, films like that. So I left Shakespeare in Love off the list. And the third one was Crash, which I was surprised. I know a lot of people think it's sentimental, it's melodramatic. I loved Crash, and I'll stand behind that. So I was thrilled when it beat Brokeback Mountain out. I was very, very happy that it won. Also, I'm getting a lot of shit for putting The Departed on this list. I didn't realize there were so many fans of this movie. I love Martin Scorsese. He's made some of the greatest films, in the past 35 years. Love Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, Raging Bull. These are all classic, wonderful films. Last Temptation of Christ, After Hours, King of Comedy. Great. Just think The Departed is highly overrated. I thought it was very cartoonesque. Overacted. Mark Wahlberg and Jack Nicholson, I don't know what they were doing. I did give it 2 viewings. It's an okay movie. Again, it wasn't a great year for movies. I thought Pan's Labyrinth was better. I thought Thank You for Smoking was certainly better. United 93, The Queen. These were all, I think, better films, so I did have to put The Departed on there. I do think it's the long overdue award for Scorsese. He hadn't won it in years past, so that's why I put it on there, but it pissed off an incredible amount of people. But in my opinion, on my list, I put it on there. Now, I do want to apologize for a couple things. One, so many people, I did make one stupid comment on the list, and in speaking about Chariots of Fire, I mentioned, and I was kind of pithy and was trying to be funny, and it didn't work. I commented that running was not a sport. Running is a sport. I apologize to people on the thread on Listverse. I'm apologizing to you now. I apologize for the comment. So stop with the comments, okay? Because even when I apologized on the site, people kept writing with great vitriol about my silly comment. So I do apologize, and I'm sorry. Let's leave it at that. Over. I also wanted to comment and apologize if I came off or sounded supercilious or pretentious. That's not it at all. If that way, my opinions come across a little bit strong in my writing style, but and so I certainly do apologize. My opinion is no better than yours. My opinions are never wrong because they're my opinions, but neither are yours. That's the whole thing about opinions. This whole list is very subjective, which got me to thinking about so many of the comments that people wrote, and I want to read to you a couple of these that I was just amazed at. People thinking, oh, this is, and I'll read to you verbatim. One says, this seems to be a very personal list. Another says, this is a very opinionated list. Not everyone can agree with your choice of movies. Island Bog says, this whole list is completely biased. None of it is fact-based. You're just stating your opinion. Yes, that's what the list is. It's an opinionated list. There are no facts. The entire list is subjective. And then he goes on to say, or she, although I agree with you on a lot of these, I still can't get past how this is all what you believe. You don't use anyone else's outcries against the Oscars, no public documentation or anything. Awful list. He calls it an awful list, but he does mention that he agrees with a lot of it. Then somebody put, did I ever watch Gigi? I wouldn't put the movie on there. I would think that very irresponsible of me if I hadn't seen the film. And he also says, try at the end of each sentence to say, in my opinion, or in my way of thinking. Well, I'm assuming that you know going in reading the list that the whole list is my opinion, so it's kind of redundant to put before every statement, in my opinion, in my thinking. It's silly. The whole list is my opinion. They're my thoughts. Other people have done the list before. It's their own opinions. No two lists are going to be the same. That's the beauty of these lists. And another one put, this list is just the writer's opinion and in no way contains any factual information that determines what is and what's not Best Picture. Again, redundant. It's all my opinion. We understand this. I know. I was just surprised to see how many comments were in this vein. Anyway, I'm glad to see that the list is making some noise, that there is this great passion. That's what I wanted to start here, a great debate, an argument, a discussion about people who love, from people who love movies. And I think Vitris put it best. He made, or she made a comment, and I'll read it to you. This was a great list that has nothing to do with which films you chose to include. The reason why it's so great is it's encouraged some excellent discussion in the comments. Of course, the list is based on opinion, and I think most people recognize the fact. They really don't, and agree that there isn't any other way to go about it. The list writer deserves credit for writing a list that encourages everyone to comment upon their own opinions, yada yada yada. And that's all I wanted. That's all I wanted to start here. Somebody put on the commentary that they wanted me to, or well, how about you write a top 10 list about the top 10 greatest films to win Best Picture. And that's a very good idea. A few people commented on that and wrote that. And I think I'm going to get started on that list, and I'll post that in the next few days. Sorry to piss some people off. Thank you to all the people who've read it. And let's continue this discussion on other film topics. And thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.